Okay, hello everybody. It is Amanda from Central Community Library, and for today's Myths and Fairy Tales, we are going to be discussing a story from Southwest folklore, La Llorona, or The Weeping Woman. We'll talk the legend, and I'll give you some middle grade book suggestions. Now, before we go forward, I'm giving you a forewarning right now. The legend of La Llorona is a little creepy. So for those of you who don't like spooky stories, this may not be one for you. Now I will tell you, this is a children's story. So if you're wondering why I went with it, it is a children's story. But it is an eerie children's story. And we all know Miss Amanda loves her a scary story. But I also know it's not for everybody. So if you're ready and you're comfortable with it, let's go. So first, who was she? So the way that you say her name is La Llorona, and it translates to the weeping woman. So as the story goes, her children die, and she tries to find them as she's stuck between life and death. In many versions, she's the most beautiful woman in her village, and a wealthy man notices her. She's happy, they get married, and they have children. But then he abandons her and his family, only to reemerge with a new, younger bride. As a result of her anger, she drowns her children. But why? Some stories say she kills them out of anger because her husband has abandoned her and she's just in a blacked out state of rage. Others say it was by an accident because of her despair. Others, it's to keep them from the disappointments that she's going through right now. And she doesn't want her children to experience the disappointment that she has. She grieves their deaths, weeping very loudly, hence the name La Llorona. Legend says she walks about in a white veil and gown, weeping very loudly while she searches for her children. Now, as I mentioned, there are a lot of different versions of this. So it's kind of when you tell a joke or anything from an oral tradition, it'll change from person to person. And that is what's going on with this legend. So who's telling it, why they're telling it, and where they're telling it will probably shape the version of it that you have heard. So where is she from? This story dates back to the 16th century, and it is sometimes connected to conquistadors and even Cortez. La Llorona is predominantly in Mexico, Central and South America, but there are similar versions across the world. So if you're familiar with the Woman in White or the Irish Banshee, there are some overlaps between those amongst the three of them. So why would we tell this story? Why would this scary story be something that we tell children? Some say it is an anti-drowning campaign to encourage children not to go swimming by themselves or just not to go out at night. So just to keep people's children safe. The other side of it is death is not the end, life continues. She's often invoked in a lot of Day of the Dead imagery, and there is a connection to Dia de los Muertos, so where your death is not the end. So there's still this middle in between where she's neither a ghost she's not a ghost, she's not a demon, she's not necessarily an evil, but she's stuck in this in between. And I think it's also important to point out that she is invoked as a disciplinary threat. When speaking to friends of mine who've grown up with her, they were often told if they were naughty, La Llorona would get them. So the invocation is multi-purpose. So here are a few of our books. See, I told you this is a children's story. So we have an easy reader for our new readers who might be interested in this particular folk tale. The second book is a nonfiction story that gives you a lot of comparisons to different ghost women that are similar to La Llorona. Our third one is a pretty traditional retelling. And then the last one I really like because it is formatted kind of like a play. And each reader can take on a role, and it also introduces Spanish vocabulary while they're going through this story. Now, another very big part of the La Llorona legend is the song. Some of you have probably heard it if you've watched the movie Coco, where Mama Imelda takes the mic and sings it. And her story is similar to that of La Llorona, so it's appropriate. This is a famous ranchero song. It's considered a standard traditional song, so a lot of people have sang it. The origins are a little unknown. But it's a song that has been around for a very, very long time. And we do have recordings of it available on Hoopla, so I highly recommend listening to it because it is a great song. So here are all of my beautiful image citations. If you have heard a different version of La Llorona, please share it with us. I've heard so many different versions, and I'm very intrigued by this. So sometimes she's only looking for sons because she had sons, or maybe she's only part of a particular. Maybe there's a region or maybe there's only one river that she tends to stay at. There are so many versions, and I would love to hear them all. So thank you.